All right, everyone, welcome back to my shop, and thanks for checking out the videos. So today's video is pretty specific. I'm not going to go through a bunch of other stuff that I'm going to do on this machine, but the one thing I wanted to talk about is the four-wheel drive switch on the Can-Am Defender. So this is a 2023 Max Limited, and the issue is on some of these machines, you're going to have a two-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive rocker switch here. So when you turn on the ignition and it's in two-wheel drive, this light will light up. But when you throw it into four-wheel drive, this light goes out, but this light will not illuminate. Even though you can check up here on your dash and see that it's actually engaged in four-wheel drive, this light does not light up. So customer brought this machine in for a couple of modifications that I'm going to be working on, but mainly for a service. And he asked me if I could figure this out. If it didn't take too long, go ahead and fix it. It's just kind of a nuisance, I guess. Again, you can see up here in the dash that you're in four-wheel drive, but especially at night, it's nice to see the illumination from the LED on the top to let you know that you're in four-wheel drive rather than it not lighting up, I guess. So that's what this video is all about, and we'll get into it here quickly. I'm going to get the wiring diagrams out and pull the dash panel off here and dig into that and see what we find. All right, stay tuned. So the next thing I wanted to tackle was the four-wheel drive switch not lighting up when you put it in four-wheel drive. So I had been asked before previously, I think, regarding this machine, how this panel came off. So just wanted to show everybody that first. So what you can do is pull kind of down and out on the top piece here. Hopefully it doesn't come out that violently, if you will. But here you can see there's 3 tabs across the top that go directly in. And on the bottom here, there's a couple more tabs, and they're more of like a hook. So when you put it back together, you're going to hook the bottom first, like that. Make sure both of those are hooked into place. Once they are, then you kind of just roll this forward to where those get close, and then you can snap it back in. So I believe that was a question last time. I just wanted to make sure I addressed on how to take this dash piece apart. Again, when you're trying to pull it apart, it's kind of a down and out kind of thing. And then that'll allow you to get to the back of the switches here. The one we're focused in on is, of course, the four-wheel drive. So what I like to do is get this a little bit closer to me. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug it from the back of the switch. And then I'm going to go look at the wiring diagrams here and try to figure out how this switch operates. I see there's a little jumper wire that's white and blue for some reason. There's 2 red power, probably power switches coming in. I see 2 whites, a black, a blue with yellow. So we're going to go take a look at that. This is POS number 5. And then the same thing here on the back of on the switch itself. You press down on those tabs and pull that switch out. So I press down on these tabs here when the switch is in the cover plate. You push down on those on both sides and just kind of work one side out and do the same on the other. So I'll end up taking this switch body apart just like I did on the windows over there, and again, just kind of understanding what's happening here. Typically on these switches you have a power and a ground. Usually that's for like lights, and then a power coming into these middle spades here, and then depending on how you actuate the switch, so let's say in this case right here, I call it the plunger thing, but it's not really, it's like a slide thing that I showed you earlier. So when the switch is down, that thing is up here, so it's activating this upper row of pins basically pulling power from here and distributing it out through this one and let's say this one. And then when you rock the switch up, it actually slides that roller deal down, and now you're getting, again, whatever it is. It might be power, it might be ground coming out of these that's being fed from these right here. And then these farthest ones down on the top and the bottom usually are controlling the backlit LEDs. So I'm curious, like I say, there's a jumper wire down over here. I'm going to be kind of curious when we look at the wiring diagram how this thing is functioning on the inside and how we can get that light to light up when we push it into four-wheel drive. So I will start working on that and I'll show you what I find. Hey guys, all right, I thought I'd take a minute to talk about what's going on with these Can-Am Defenders and the two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive selector switch on these things. So if you're watching this video, probably what's going on with your machine is when you throw it into four-wheel drive, the backlight on the switch is not lighting up, okay? So I thought I'd take a minute, kind of discuss what's happening there and show you an option of what I'm doing on this 2023 here to fix that, okay? So with Can-Am does it just like all the automobile manufacturers do as well, right? So they pre-wire these things for all the accessories. And then depending on the trim model you get, you might have plugs, you know, underneath the dash or underneath your seat or something for functions that your trim model doesn't have. And so that's basically what's going on here. I'm assuming probably in 2022 and a half when they did the model change and they started introducing the smart locker, that they pre-wired the machines or a majority of them, if you will, for the smart locker option. And then they basically substituted a switch that doesn't allow the top light to light up. So if you have a smart locker and you have a smart locker switch, that switch has three functions. It has an on function at the bottom, that's two-wheel drive. The bottom light lights up. The next rock of the switch, if you will, goes to the middle. That's four-wheel drive. No light lights up. And then the top function is a momentary on-off, and that lights up the top light to let you know that the smart locker is engaged. Well, so what they did on some of these models then that don't have that function or the smart locker function, they substituted a two-position switch and just plugged it right into that plug. And you only have two functions. You have two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. The bottom light in two-wheel drive lights up when you turn the ignition on and you're in two-wheel drive. But when you throw it into four-wheel drive, there's nothing behind that switch to allow the light in four-wheel drive to light up, okay? So if you're having that problem and you kind of want to figure out how to fix it and you don't have a smart locker, let me show you what the wiring diagram is doing and then show you what I did to fix that on this 2023. Okay, so if we look at the wiring diagram, this is the plug side of the two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive smart locker selector switch. And what you're going to have here in position 2 is a ground that's coming in. Now, when you turn the ignition on and you're in two-wheel drive, it takes a ground from position number 2, brings it down into position number 1, and then we have a jumper wire that is white with blue over to position number 9. Now, that completes the ground portion or side of the bottom LED. The power side of both LEDs is controlled by the red wire, red and black wire right here, that's bringing power from the ignition into position number 8. Now, that is power all the time. So as soon as you turn the ignition on, both LEDs are getting power, and what we need to complete that circuit is the ground. So in two-wheel drive, it goes from pin number 2 over to pin number 1, across the jumper and over to pin number 9. Now, when you throw it into four-wheel drive and you don't have the smart locker switch, you are completing the ground between position number 2 and position number 3. That is a white wire that comes out and goes to your four-wheel drive harness and your actuator, and you engage the four-wheel drive. You'll notice this wire is split. It also goes back over to here, which is the control module for the smart locker. So if you don't have a smart locker and you don't have the control module, this wire basically goes to nothing, okay? So what is supposed to happen if you have a smart locker and you have the smart locker switch, when you're in four-wheel drive, okay, and you engage the locker, you can see what it's doing here, it will send ground through the white wire over to your four-wheel drive actuator, also over here to your control module for the smart locker, and then internally it's going to send a ground through the out, which is a beige with black wire, over to pin number 7. And pin number 7 would complete the ground circuit side of the top LED. But again, if you don't have the smart locker and the smart locker control module, you're not going to get the ground coming back into position number 7. And that's why your top light does not light up. So let me show you here what I found. This is what you can do to fix this. You're going to remove the existing wires from positions 5, 6, and 7. That's going to be the beige with black, the blue with yellow, and the black with yellow wires. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a jumper wire from position 5 over to the ground stud that's underneath the dash. That's going to bring ground to position number 5. And then add a short jumper wire between positions number 6 and number 7. And what that'll do is when you have the ignition on and you go from position two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, this part of it will actuate the four-wheel drive selector switch and over to the actuator. And then the ground between 5 and 6 will be made, the contact inside the switch will make, and you'll go, it'll take the ground from position number 6 over to number 7, which will complete the ground side of the circuit for the upper light, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Again, it's just the fact that they pre-wired it for the smart locker and then went ahead and installed a switch that doesn't have the function necessary to light up that top LED. So let's get back into the machine and I'll show you what that looks like behind the dash in the plug and what we've done there and show you how it works. So here we are back in the cab of this 23, and I got the switch rewired like I was discussing earlier, and just wanted to show you guys basically the operation of this real quick. So we turn the ignition on, the two-wheel drive light lights up, and then when we throw the four-wheel drive switch, the bottom light will turn off and the top light will turn on. And I don't know if you could hear that, but the four-wheel drive did actuate, and you can check that out here on the dash. I'm going to turn it back to two-wheel drive. So that's all working there. So you can see the 3 wires that I pulled out. Again, they are the beige with black, the black with yellow, and the blue with yellow. And I did talk to my dealer as well over there. It sounds like this has come up a few times with Can-Am. And again, there is, at least from what he told me, there is no bulletin regarding it. I'm not sure where the other person got their information, but he was going to send something over to BRP and ask them about it. Like him and I discussed, it does look like these 3 are in fact tied to the operation of the smart locker. And again, I don't see any reason why these couldn't be just pulled out. And then, like I did here, I just put a little heat shrink over them. Didn't want to cut them out just in case we did have an issue and we wanted to put this back in later. You know, basically just cut the heat shrink off and take these wires out and put them back in there. So let me show you on the back of the switch here what I did. I just ran a short ground wire. It goes over to that ground stud right there, comes into pin position, again, number 5. You can see that there. And then just a short, my black wire here, if I can hold it and get in there at the same time, that's this little black wire here, and that's a jumper from number 6 to number 7. So again, what's happening when that switch is pressed in, the rocker then makes contact between 5 and 6, and 6 is taking the ground up to the top LED. So both LEDs are powered by this red wire here. Power is sent to the top light and the bottom light constantly as soon as you turn the ignition on, and then the bottom light is grounded between positions 2 and 1, which we discussed earlier, and the short jumper wire, which is the white with blue, sends ground to the bottom. So hopefully that helps, and again, for our operation it works just fine. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by and checking out this video on this 2023 Can-Am Defender, specifically regarding the four-wheel drive selector switch light at the top, not lighting up because of Can-Am, what they left us on that. So hopefully it made sense to you guys. Should be an easy kind of mod or fix, if you will, on that. Stay tuned for more videos. As always, hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Till then, have a good day.